Welcome to Monday Minutes with Mike Rock. I am very excited about another Monday. I'm very excited about my next guest because if you are in the residential real estate space, certainly in Maine, you recognize the face sitting next to me and you will certainly recognize this name. So I am very excited to introduce and welcome Mr. Tim Dunham from Dunham Realty. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. I have so many questions to ask you. Unfortunately, I'm going to only ask three.
Okay.
But let's start with the first one and probably one of the most important ones. You've been extremely successful. 23 years in the career, coming up on 20 years at Dunham Realty. Your name is well known. You've held all sorts of different positions in different leadership roles. What attributes do you think and characteristics do you think have made you most successful throughout all your tenure in real estate?
So I think really what it comes down to, and I tell this to a lot of incoming realtors, is you need to have compassion for whoever you're working with, whether it's a buyer's agent, you're co-broking a transaction, whether you're a seller's agent, co-broking a transaction, whether you're dealing with a colleague in the same company, dealing with a buyer or seller. It's whoever's in front of you, having compassion for that person and understanding everything that's going on in their particular situation, trying to dissect it and do the best service you can to try to make a transaction come together. So I think really over the years, you mentioned a little bit with my different leadership, such as state president of our MLS and different president roles for local boards. I didn't know when I started volunteering that those roles over time would improve my my ability to do what I do. I thought it was just giving back to our community, to our realtors, which it was, but it really made me a better agent for my clients as well.
That's amazing. No, I appreciate that because that is, if we just need a little more compassion in this space, and I think everyone will do better and thrive in that.
It's sad, even in this tight market with inventory as it's been, where we've had as many as 30 offers on one property. Sadly, these buyer agents will come to me and tell me their stories of how they aren't given much more than 15 to 20 seconds on the phone with the agent, the listing agent, and that's not me. When somebody calls me, I can almost sense that they're nervous. They're trying to get out their question as quick as they can for their buyer so that they're representing the buyer, but they know that they get shut down so frequently. I'll have them on the phone for 45 minutes.
That's amazing.
And we'll just make friends, and I'll help them through the whole process. So I love doing that. I really do.
In my opinion, that's what separates the good from the great, and the cream rises to the top.
Sure.
So I appreciate you sharing that with everyone. So, what advice, you just mentioned 30 offers on a house. What advice are you giving buyers and sellers that are looking to either purchase in this market or sell in this market?
So, that's a great question, Mike, because in the last few years, FHA, RD, rural development, VA buyers, those that are doing low down payments, 100% financing, they haven't had a chance to get a buyer to buy a property during this crazy market because there were too many cash offers, too many conventional financed offers, no appraisals. Sellers were concerned that it wouldn't appraise, and probably justly so. Well, in this market that we're in right now, those FHA, RD, and VA buyers, they stand a chance now. You guys need to come out of the woodwork. Come on back out. The market is good for you. You have an opportunity to now be able to compete and be able to buy a property. You might be the only offer sometimes. Other times we are still seeing 3 to 5, maybe even 8 offers, but rarely are we seeing 10. We did have one last week where we had 26.
Wow.
So that's not happening very often now. It's very rare.
That's amazing. Yeah, come out. Now is the opportunity.
Yes.
Spring market is opening up.
Yes.
So how about sellers? What are you telling sellers that are looking to list their property?
Yeah, so sellers, a little bit of a different story with them. One thing I've always felt in my whole 23 years is, and I just wanted to scream this from the rooftops, is interview some realtors, compare and contrast, and make sure that you're selecting somebody that's going to do a great job for you. I think one thing that sellers fail to understand is you're hiring somebody. You own a company, which we'll call it your house, and you're hiring somebody to do the most important position in your company, which is to sell this property. It's your largest asset, more than likely. And they're not taking the time. They're looking at somebody going, oh, I like the looks of that person, and I'll use them. or that person gave me the highest number over the phone. They haven't seen my house, but they tickled my ears. And they're choosing realtors based off of these different things instead of sitting them down and doing a job interview with them. I think you should take at least an hour for every realtor that you interview and do a minimum of 3 realtors before you select one to do the most important job, which is to sell and market your property.
That's amazing. Do your diligence.
Yes.
That's great advice. So my last question for you is, if you look back 23 years, which I guess would be Y2K, and you're looking at young Tim, what advice do you tell young Tim just starting in real estate?
So post-COVID Tim, if he could go back to Y2K Tim, what would he tell him? I would say, Y2K Tim did a lot of good stuff. He went out and he searched and hunted for listings. It was a hard market, the year 2000. People weren't really into the internet yet. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have texting or emails. Oh my gosh, I'd send a PDF to another realtor who wanted a disclosure, and they're like, I don't know what to do with this. It's a different world. And so what could I do if I had the knowledge I have today and go back? I would say there's not a lot, because I had to go through that challenge of growing through failures and successes. And so I think it's kind of like raising a family. I got 4 kids. Sadly, they have to learn sometimes why dad says you shouldn't do this. You have to experience it for yourself. And I'm not so sure that there's anything I wouldn't want to have to go through again, because I think the Tim of today is who I am because I went through all those challenges.
I love it. And I think you can tell someone to not touch the burner 100 times until they touch the burner once, and then they learn not to touch it again.
Absolutely. I get a flashback as you're telling me this. The realtors that were there in 2005, and then because we had 6,600 realtors in 2005 in the state of Maine. In 2008, we had 2,200. So 2/3 dropped out of the industry. And I would run into some of these former realtors in 2008 and ask them, why aren't you doing this? Well, the market crashed, and I was doing really well by 2009, and I was second in the state for short sales, and I was getting it done, and nobody was willing to work hard like that. So I think really, if I could go back to those 2005 realtors, it's like, don't just take the gravy. Don't just answer the phone and smile and fill out the form. Work, learn how to do it. So I think when I started in 2000, it really was a hard market in 2000. It was not hard in 2005. So I had 5 years to kind of get ready for that amazing market, so that I was prepared when I came into the crash. I didn't give up. I just kept going.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be back and answer some more questions.
I'd
I've
love
got
to.
a whole page full for you.
Sounds great.
So see you all next week. Thank you so much.